years. Business, sports, culture and the arts. You're watching PBC Jamaica.
This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, has confirmed that it will, on January 2, 2018, start accepting applications for political parties to register. The date comes 3 years after amendments to the Representation of the People Act were laid in Parliament. Under the Political Parties Registration Regulations 2017, which fall under the Representation of the People Act, the legal framework also provides for deregistration of political parties and will require parties to have updated records. According to the ECJ's 2010 report in Parliament on political party registration, parties applying must have at least 500 members in good financial standing and submit details such as the names and addresses of the leader or president, the general secretary, the treasurer, and other individuals designated as officers of the party, as well as the address of the office where the records of the party are maintained. The ECJ can reject an application for registration for a number of reasons, such as if the proposed name of the party is the same as or similar to that of a party already registered, the party name is offensive, if any of its information is false, or if any objection to the registration is found to be valid. The Jamaica Civil Service Association says the government has failed to set a date for wage negotiation talks with the public sector workers it represents. The JCSA has given the Finance Ministry an ultimatum to meet with them this week. President of the JCSA, O'Neill Grant, says the ministry responded, saying it would inform them today of the date of the meeting. He says the workers were hoping the wage talks would be progressing smoothly by now, but he says so far the 6% wage increase offer over 2 years is insufficient. Mr. Grant says the workers are annoyed that the government's proposal to freeze all allowances. Trade union leader Vincent Morrison says the government should review its policy of nullifying pension benefits for people who walk off the job in the public service. Morrison told the Jamaica Observer, quote, "I would want to believe that is pretty harsh. Although the scheme is non-contributory, it's a benefit that accrues to you as a result of the fact that you're employed. I think that should be reviewed and should be subject to further discussion between the unions and the authorities." End quote. The observation comes against the background of discussions surrounding the $983 million allocated in the government's first supplementary budget for the public sector early retirement program. During a review of the report at a recent Public Administration and Appropriations Committee meeting, Deputy Financial Secretary in the Strategic Human Resource Management Division of the Finance Ministry, Wayne Jones, explained that there are a number of reasons why some people experience long delays in receiving their pensions, and that in some instances, certain individuals are not, in fact, entitled to a pension. The Registrar General's Department, RGD, is seeking an amendment to the law to allow for the electronic registration of births. The RGD says it has made submissions to the Chief Parliamentary Council to get the change. This comes as the agency moves to get legal backing to its e-registration program, noting that the law governing the registration of births and deaths does not contemplate online registration. The RGD says it has begun e-registration in 8 hospitals across the island. The agency says with a complete rollout of e-registration, it will be able to capture information of all live births into its database in real time electronically. In regional news, Haiti has recorded nearly 350 probable cases of diphtheria in 2017, with at least 45 deaths, and that's according to official figures released in that country. Health authorities said epidemiology surveillance was being intensified to detect the population at risk and to implement public health measures, including a vaccination campaign expected to take place in 2018. In 2014, the French-speaking Caribbean community country reported an outbreak of diphtheria, an infection caused by the bacterium Bacterium diphtheria. Signs and symptoms may vary from mild to severe. They usually start 2 to 5 days after exposure. Symptoms often come in fairly gradually, beginning with a sore throat and fever. It can lead to difficulty breathing, heart failure, paralysis, and even death. According to the authorities, there were 348 probable causes reported during the year, with an increase in cases being observed in the last trimester of 2017 compared to the preceding trimester. Authorities in the Dominican Republic says at least a dozen people have died and 21 more have been hospitalized after drinking homemade liquor containing methanol. Authorities say the first deaths occurred last week, and the remaining people recently became sick after drinking the same liquor during funerals for the initial victims. Health Secretary Mr. Guzman said Tuesday that officials are trying to find the source of the liquor and no one has been arrested. In sports, Jamaica's champion swimmer Alia Atkinson is optimistic that her achievements and continuous presence in the aquatic arena will serve as a great inspiration to the country's next generation of swim stars. Atkinson pointed out that the country has always been producing a number of outstanding swimmers with the ability to be better than their Caribbean counterparts and, by extension, to become a formidable force in the international circuit. She told The Observer, quote, "Where we fall off is when these swimmers get around 16, 17, and 18, they start to doubt whether or not they see themselves having a future in the sport as a successful athlete. This is because they lack the right inspiration to defy the odds and forge ahead." End quote. And that's the news. Do stay with us. The weather report is next. This is PBCJ's weather report. Thanks so much for staying with us. Let's start as usual with our local currents. In Kingston right now, it's just about 29 degrees Celsius and we're seeing a forecast of a sunny afternoon. The temperature is set to go down to just about 22 degrees Celsius. As will the sun, it's set to go down at 6:33 p.m. Over there in Montego Bay, we're expecting some scattered showers this afternoon in areas of St. James. We're seeing that the temperature is just about 28 degrees Celsius, but that's set to go down to a cool 10 degrees Celsius in some areas. And across the island today, we can expect an average temperature between 28 and 31 degrees Celsius. And you can expect some scattered showers in the northern end of the island, but it should be pretty sunny in the southern parts of the island. Tomorrow, you can expect an average temperature between 27 and 32 degrees Celsius. We're also seeing possible showers over there in Ocho Rios and Port Antonio, and in the eastern end of the island over there in St. Thomas. It should be pretty sunny out in Kingston. And in our Caribbean forecast, we're looking at the eastern end of the Caribbean. We're seeing an average temperature between 27 and 28 degrees Celsius. We're seeing some cloudy conditions in most of the countries you're seeing on your screen, and we're also seeing that there could be some rainfall over there in Antigua and in Grenada. And across the region, we're expecting an average temperature between 26 and 29 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be pretty warm out, but not too hot in most areas. We're also seeing it's going to be pretty sunny in the western end of the region. And further afield, we look to the United States, where we're seeing some rainy skies for Miami, and we're seeing some sunny skies for New York and Los Angeles. In Atlanta, we're seeing they're going to have some cloudy conditions. The minimum temperature on your screen, -2 degrees Celsius, registered for Atlanta, and a high at 26 degrees, of course, for Miami. In the European countries we're looking at the screen, we're seeing a minimum temperature -1 recorded for Paris for tomorrow. And we're also seeing a forecast of sunny skies for London, but some cloudy conditions there as well. We're seeing -3 degrees with a high at 3 degrees in some areas in London. Madrid, you can expect a maximum temperature at 13 degrees Celsius. And that's it for the weather report. Thanks so much for making it PBCJ. Remember, we are the people's station.
Yeah, sometimes in the house, you feel traumatized because shut up and you know where to turn. Baby them start ball, it just feel, you don't know what, you don't know which end, what I'm outside. And we can build a better Jamaica, by love. But some of we just have a, naughty heart against people. But we can help each other, we can build each other, we can make a foundation here for better. Let's create a safer Jamaica. We can do it and we can build it.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
You can accomplish what you will.
Jamaica to the world!
Hi, I'm Carissa Etienne. Let's talk about something that few people want to discuss. It's an illness that affects you, me, all of us, directly or indirectly. It can be debilitating. Sadly, it results in more than 65,000 suicides each year in the Americas. The disease I'm talking about is depression. Let's talk. Depression does not discriminate. It doesn't matter who you are.